2023 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. Well, if you have one, you gotta use it. And oh, check this out. We used it. So finally, after long last, I get some alone time with the Toyota Sequoia, and it's not exactly alone time because Jeff from Toyota Jeff is over there doing a walk around of the Lexus LX 600. So we're all out here doing our thing, but let's just focus on the Sequoia for right now. And I'm happy to do that because personally, I think this new Toyota Sequoia looks really good. I've said before I wasn't 100% sold on the Toyota Tundra's kind of styling. I think it works in some trims, but not in others. But here, I just love the way it translates into full-size SUV form. I think this TRD Pro Sequoia looks fantastic. Under the hood is Toyota's new twin-turbo V6. It's a 3.5-liter making 437 horsepower and a whopping 583 pound-feet of torque in this I-Force trim, which means it is a parallel hybrid, which means it has electric assist, which means the torque never falls off, and can confirm the torque never falls off. For example, the torque doesn't fall off when you're coating this thing with mud by possibly driving it through a mud puddle that we were possibly told, maybe don't do that. But you know what? Somebody did, not me. Toyota, somebody did that. It was not me. Now, it's pretty nice in the interior of the Toyota Sequoia, but obviously it's very, very similar to the Tundra. So anything that you see in the Tundra is pretty much carried over without exception into the Sequoia. Now in TRD Pro, guys, that means you have multi-terrain select, you have crawl control, you have a locking rear differential, you have all of the off-road goodies that you would expect from a TRD Pro model. These seats, this sort of leather tech material, are very nice. All of the amenities that you expect are here. This one's pretty much loaded. You got the digital gauge cluster. You've got the big infotainment screen sporting Toyota's newest infotainment system, which I particularly like. I think it works really well. Although the subscription thing, guys, we got a subscription thing, but let's not get into that right now. Overall, this interior is a nice, functional, very trucky place to be, and it feels solid and well put together. Now, real quick about the driving experience, because I'm gonna show you right after this some footage of us taking it around an off-road course, which this thing just dominated. It wasn't even a challenge. The driving experience on the road is really good considering what this thing can do. It's comfortable, it handles bumps well considering the live rear axle. The steering is lighter than the Tundra, significantly so, but it's accurate, so that doesn't bother me. My only complaints would be that the transmission works a little bit better at lower gears than the Tundra, but still sometimes doesn't give you that first or second gear, depending on the situation that you want. And the brake pedal's a little mushy, a little numb, but that's not a big deal. I mean, this is a full-size SUV after all, and for the most part, this thing drives infinitely better than our old Suburban. Is it as good as the current Suburban and Expedition? I don't know, I'll leave that for you to judge. I would say they might have a slight edge in on-road comfort, while this has a big edge in off-road capability against most of those trims, even the off-road oriented ones. Now, there is one slight Achilles heel for the Sequoia, depending on your family's needs, that you might want to consider. So with the seat set for somebody my height, the room in the second row is decent. You can adjust the captain's chairs a little bit, and I can tilt the seat back, but unfortunately, this big pano sunroof significantly cuts into headroom. Now, is that going to be an issue for somebody who is normal sized? Probably not. I'm 6'6", so you expect this kind of thing, but I think the headroom to me is the biggest downside. The headroom is pretty tight for someone who's probably 6'2" or 3, so it's something to consider if you plan on carrying giant people around in the second row. But for a lot of people, it's not going to be that big of an issue. Now, the third row in the Sequoia is kind of useless to anybody with a lower half of their body. It's not super large and spacious, but again, this to me is like a plus size 2-row SUV that has third row capability in a pinch. Now, there's one other aspect to this size issue that I want to point out. See, with the third row up, there isn't a lot of space in the back of the Sequoia, not for luggage and not really for a 12-pack of soda cans, but most people are going to put the third row down. Now, the Sequoia does have, and I can't show you now because we have all of our campsite stuff in here, but the Sequoia does have sort of an uneven load floor, and they provide a sort of plastic shelf that allows you to even things out. Does this eat into the overall space? Yeah, it does somewhat. Do you necessarily need to worry about that unless you have a family of, I would say, 3 or more? I certainly wouldn't, honestly. For our family's needs, especially with a teenage driver, the Sequoia is almost kind of perfect size because Mrs. Jackson has been driving a Suburban for the past 10 years, so she would like something that's still large, but maybe just a little bit more manageable, but we don't have to short our cargo needs too much on. The Sequoia kind of fits the bill, and if I'm being 100% honest, I am all for that because I really like this TRD Pro Sequoia. Oh, by the way, off-roading. So should you buy a Toyota Sequoia, and should you buy a Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro model? Well, I'm a bit biased because I think the TRD Pro model is pretty fantastic. So I would immediately say, yes, absolutely. I've had a Chevy Tahoe Z71, and while I didn't have a chance to off-road it, and the ride was smoother thanks to the airbags that model came equipped with, I don't think it could hold a candle to what this thing could do off-road. Some of what you guys have seen in this video was done at an off-road park. Well, all of the off-roading really was done in an off-road park where we really pushed this thing. I mean, we were taking it up and down extremely steep grades, and that was all on the stock tires, stock suspension, stock everything. So if you're even slightly into that sort of thing, the TRD Pro Sequoia stands in a class of 1. Now, I'm not gonna lie, my opinion might change were I testing the Capstone model against the Tahoe High Country or the Expedition King Ranch. I think I might be a little bit more critical of the Sequoia's shortcomings against those models. But if you're looking for a large SUV with serious off-road capability, then you are looking for a Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. I hope you like the content where we're actually really using these things. A big thanks to Toyota and Lexus for having me out on this amazing adventure in North Georgia. They really are fantastic hosts, and it was a ton of fun getting to wheel this thing. And really, I joked about it, but we were allowed to do a lot of stuff to these trucks in the effort of reporting back to you what they can actually do. And so I really appreciate the fact that Toyota and Lexus are willing to let journalists and social media types kind of beat on their products and say, go nuts and show us what they can do. And then you can report that back. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I hope you found it informative. And if you did, please consider liking, please consider subscribing, please consider sticking around the channel if you enjoy content like that. And I will see you in the next video. All right, peace.